I would also ban a Maokai, and I would actually first pick Echo for Dashawn. And I would simply say, okay, Kikis, you haven't really shown anything other than these two champions if we look at playoffs, and if we look at the one game you had here, and you simply try and move him away from his best champions. On the side of G2, Caitlyn, honestly, we talked about this. You need to see what 6A can do on a different champion.
And I want to see if they're actually going to remove champs for Huhi as well. The Zed, of course, a great champion for Perkz overall, but also counterpicks a great number of mid laners, and I wonder if that starts informing what Huhi might want to play here.
All right, so I think G2 is going to ban Bard as the last one if they want to remove some of the strong laning power again from CLG's bottom lane. And then actually we have almost everything we could have expected. Nidalee is still the standard purple side. The question is for CLG, with Ryze being available, and it's a great champion for Perkz, do you value that above taking the Echo? But if you do, you kind of nullify your bans, because then you give Kikis one of his best champions, and your entire strategy was removing comfort picks away from Kikis, make him a weak laner, and give an advantage to Dashawn. So I think Echo for him would make a lot of sense, but it's a big risk with the Ryze pick.
Definitely agree. Ryze is up there. Of course, you can split some of the junglers here. Graves and Kindred not far apart in power. You probably split those 1-1. As far as supports go, that Bard is still up for Aphromoo. Kindred is actually the pickup here.
Interesting.
People still perceive this champion to be well above. Yeah, I think Echo's for sure, but Kindred is believed to be just well above the Graves, who's next in line.
Yeah, now obviously, a lot of times you would take either 2 power picks in the first rotation on the red side, or you just take like the best support left, because you don't want to show too much. But I think going Ryze, Echo is actually not terrible if we consider the fact that G2 are really, really good with these 2 specific picks.
Yes.
Obviously, you show instantly that Echo is going to top lane and Ryze is going mid lane, so you lose some of the potential flex picking. But this is about removing some key picks also from CLG, because we know they can play the Echo, we know they can play the Ryze in mid lane. I just want to see if Huhi is going to have a special pick ready, because they're obviously going to expect Ryze to be locked in by G2 here.
And that's the thing, is depending how you play the pick and ban, typically we consider red side to be the team that gets to counterpick, to get to wait and play the matchup that's best for them. But the way the pinch was set up, the Kindred on the one side, the Ryze Echo on the other, as you mentioned, CLG can now counterpick both of these solo lanes.
And that clearly must have been the goal, because otherwise I would heavily disagree with the Kindred first pick. When you have a Graves as well, or even an Elise pick for Xmithie against the Kindred, I think when you target the top laner with 2 bans, you do not give him the 3rd champion he can actually play at the top level right now. Unless they're basically saying we actually don't trust in your Echo at all, and we just don't trust in Kikis right now on a champion that requires mechanics. But I think that is a risky one for CLG. We have to see if Kikis can show up.
It's going to be on Kikis. He's definitely had a shaky tournament so far, as has the rest of G2. Of course, 0-2 so far in this tournament. Poppy, though, grabbed to battle the top lane matchup. The Lucian grabbed early on. Not going to go to Emperor here. Stixxay not going on that. Caitlyn, of course, it was banned away, and Lucian's the next go-to.
Yeah, knowing G2 now, they would love to lock in a Kalista, Thresh, or bot lane. Like, just an extremely strong 2v2 lane into the Lucian, and then opt into these standard lanes. Another option is the Ezreal pick if you want a safer choice, more late game scaling.
Sure.
But they normally stick to very, very strong 2v2 lanes. Poppy, no surprise, with all the top lane bans, and of course Echo being picked away. And we're still obviously waiting for that last pick for Huhi from CLG.
No cheeky Aurelion Soul Hover earlier, not that I think it's that likely.
Showed it, okay. G2 is opting a little bit away from what we would consider a lane bully. Also taunting a little bit with the Soraka, because why not?
He's like, I know we left this up for you, by the way. Soraka did get a few nerfs in 6.8, and of course that's the patch we're playing on right here. But the Bard actually grabbed up for Hybrid, a champion that many people are afraid of from Aphromoo, but it's going to be Hybrid to play it here.
I think that's the reason to actually take it. First of all, Hybrid has played it quite a bit back in Europe.
Yes.
But also, you want to take it away one more time from Aphromoo. So honestly, while 3 of the picks here for G2 fit them well, they also pick CLG normally would really like to play.
Yes, absolutely.
So they're managing to hit kind of both things. You know, you do well for yourself, but also you steal away from the others.
Absolutely agree with you. I think it's a great way to play the pick ban phase. As long as your comp is cohesive at the end of the day, you're able to take things away that are important to your opponents. You combine that with the bans you've already added in. Aphromoo can't play as Alistar. Again, we say that Stixxay can't play as Caitlyn, but here's the lock-in. The Soraka does get played anyway, and Azir into the mid lane, into this Ryze for Huhi.
All right, so this is a matchup in mid lane that is very exciting, because there are a lot of different opinions. A guy like Perkz actually thinks that Ryze does fine into Azir, but then you can ask other mid laners who think Azir beats Ryze. I think it's a skill matchup for sure. And I think it's a matchup Perkz is fine taking, but also a good safe choice here for Huhi. And I really love the Soraka because the European supports have been so vocal about how useless Soraka is.
Yeah.
And now Afremu gets a chance to show it.
You're right, we don't see a lot of good Soraka play out of Europe, but actually there's several North American supports who really love the champion. It's one of the things I do enjoy about tournaments like MSI is regions have their own perception of what champions are good, what styles are best here, what they're going to be doing to bring it out here, and you get these one set of picks that only certain teams play. And CLG with the Soraka, the final pick of Graves, of course, does go through. No surprise there in the G2 draft, and we have all 10 players.
Yeah, and obviously the lineup from both teams here, we talked about it, stealing away comfort picks, but still on the side of CLG because they value that Kindred so high. Gave away some of these S-tier picks. Still, when you get an Azir later on, when you get a Lucian pick with a Caitlyn ban, you're more than happy with these picks. And the Soraka lane, extremely strong. Obviously, you have to basically all in it as a bot Ezreal lane. And then you can see Hybrid on your screen. He's picking Ignite for now. You could see G2 opt into that 2v2.
It'll be fun to watch then if that 2-on-2 goes in. Range supports, plenty of damage on the AD carries. We'll see how it goes. And we are here at the Mid-Season Invitational, the beginning of Day 2, the North America versus Europe matchup here. If G2 wins, these teams are tied 1-2, coming in 30% of the way through the group stage for these squads. And as the coaches shake hands to say, yep, we are done with picks and bans, it's now up to the 10 players on the Rift to determine who's going to win this one. You guys at home can also let us know who's going to be winning it as well. You're always part of the show. You can send your predictions to @ElevableEsports with hashtag CLGwin or hashtag G2win for which team it's going to be. Western North America, it's still late night, so they're going to be awake for this one. In Western Europe, it's pretty early in the morning, but I feel like you're going to wake up early to make sure you can watch this one live.
Definitely.
Wake up your roommates, let them know this matchup's going on.
It's fine for now. On Sunday, it's going to be a little bit more problematic.
Now as we look towards the stage, of course, we can see Europe is the one owning the Rift here. The higher share of their players are sporting the region's icon in-game, so
go Europe!
G2's winning.
We got one win so far through the fans. Let's see.
And use the caster.
Let's see if G2... Oh, you're so nice, Freak.
I got you, man.
Let's see if G2 can make it 2 wins or 3 wins then for Europe.
That's true. The hat trick all in one game within 30 minutes. And here we go, onto the Rift they go. G2 actually sending all of them up to the top side of the map, either for an invade or a counter invade. But CLG just playing the defensive line. They see the invades coming through.
Yeah, and we can see on the side of G2, they're running double teleport. This is, again, the very standard thing for them. And it means if you do have these standard lanes, you will very, very often see once we hit like level 5, level 6, the team starts setting up these potential dives with teleports coming down, jungler moving in, and you create suddenly a 4v3 or 5v4 situation. And basically, as long as you can execute it properly, you will pick up quite a few kills and tend to get a tower. That's the optimal style for G2 with the double teleports. But we need a few levels, and we need a bit of time before we're going to see any of that action.
And it's one of the things that actually has people liking champions like Lulu or champions like Rise into Azir is not really a good teleport user. So if you are a native teleport user in the mid lane, then you always have the ability to out-rotate your opponent and make those cross-map plays.
Okay, Hybrid sneaking in.
Walking into a fresh caught by the Soraka, exhausted as well, and he's got nowhere to go. He'd have to flash into CLG's territory. Run to the bottom, was slowed down. First blood picked up by Stixay already.
CLG were basically waiting in mid lane. They wanted to see where G2 was sending their dual lane before reacting. And Hybrid, we're trying to set up a cheesy gank around the mid lane. Walks straight into 2 members and ends up dying. Had zero clue that anyone was hiding there. Perfect start for CLG.
Unlucky, I think, for sure. And now Emperor in a 1 versus 2. His kingdom being challenged here. Afremu, plenty of damage to the Soraka, healing himself with the Qs. And yeah, I mean, he'll still stand up eventually, so no big, shock there. The melee minis all got denied. Emperor has nothing so far in this lane. Yeah,
CLG obviously saw the Bard pick and with the Ezreal and said, okay, you do have a decent 2v2 if you look at especially at the early levels where Ezreal and Bard are very strong, like level 1. But when we take the Soraka, we can match that 2v2 as long as we do not get all in. Teleport in, a jungler may be coming, and then a CC landing from Hybrid. Then this lane is going to be fine for CLG. They're going to keep pushing it in, and such a poor start for G2 now. They lost everything around level 1, which is where the Ezreal Bard really shine. Bard level 2 is not the most exciting level up.
But here comes Trick to the top side with the red buff, level 3. Yeah, and at the same time, Huhi and Perks in a battle as well. Perks diving in, gets through. Huhi has to burn the heal. Now they're pushing to Afremu. That should be the kill. Yes, it is. Hybrid gets revenge from the first blood. Trick running away, but now here comes Darshan. Looks for it, but the magical journey traded around. Darshan does pick it up. Meanwhile, Huhi did get a kill in the mid lane as well, so now Emperor running away. Here's Xmithy, a double for Darshan. It's already 4-1. Make that 5, a triple kill for Darshan.
We didn't even get to see what happened before Kikis was dead. He couldn't even join in. And suddenly, G2 went aggressive with the gank. Actually, the correct play, technically, ganking that top lane, but CLG just responding. Look at your minimap right here. Kikis is running around mid lane, so while the gank is happening top, Darshan can TP in, and CLG, they're just buying time. Yeah, you lose one member. So Kikis was actually diving in mid lane and died to Huhi at the same time. And now CLG, instead of what could have been a TP match, ended up being Darshan just coming in, picking up a few kills for his team, and
yeah, it's a 4v3.
I mean, this is a perfect start for CLG.
They won a 4v3, and they won a 1v2. How do you win every lane at the same time?
How do you die between two towers at like level 2? I have no idea what happened in that mid lane.
Oh my gosh, well this is a catastrophic start to the game for G2. And they already started the tournament 0-2 in wins, but now, oh man, in game 3, not looking good for them here. CLG Gaming though can look happy. A triple kill on a Poppy, walks into the lane with Spectre's Cow and goes, nice items, bro.
And everything really went wrong already at level 1. We're just gonna see the mid lane trade by Perks, and then here, look, bottom of your screen, Kikis shows up, dives under the turret for Huhi.
What? And he doesn't get the damage. He needed one more auto attack, and he wanted to get a turret.
Even then, hybrid.
And he's gonna go down, 6 against another one. 6-1 is the kill score already. Xmithy getting the top lane gank.
And now we get one of these solo queue games for G2 where everything just falls apart. I mean, they couldn't have gotten a worse start. Like, even at level 1, not only did hybrid face check and die, Kikis was starting on top side, yet he had to teleport down to take the 1v1 lane against Darshan. That meant they had no teleport, so when they wanted to gank the top lane, Darshan could join, Kikis could not. And suddenly that gank actually became too risky, backfired completely, and for a team who had such a poor start yesterday, so much hate right now around this G2 lineup, and you are now down 6 kills to 1 at 5.5 minutes.
This might be one of the worst starts actually ever in the history of competitive League of Legends.
And also one of the best starts by CLG.
Sure, I don't know why I'm phrasing it from G2. Like, I'm aware that I'm rooting for North America here in this one, but it's just, it's mind-boggling that this is the sort of situation that so many things went wrong for G2. A great level 1 for CLG Gaming, great team fighting afterwards with all these random ganks and whatnot. And now Huhi constantly having people in his lane trying to fight him. Heck, he's been ganked by the jungler and the top laner now, and he's still winning in CS.
So a few things have gone wrong, yes, but honestly, G2 could just have played a more passive laning phase then after everything went wrong level 1. Because you know you lost your teleport from your top lane because you had to go to the bottom lane. So you know if you do gank top lane,
TP disadvantage.
Enemy TP can just happen instantly, and suddenly it's a 3v3.
Or theoretically, Perks is supposed to join.
Or,
and then, like, it actually matches up, but I mean, all of that went wrong.
So, like, it is a bad start, but then it's also G2 just making it even worse. So they are the team making their mistakes. It's not like CLG is just randomly running around and kills just happen in front of them. No, they know, okay, if you gank top right now, we can TP in. We saw Xmithy move up as well, and suddenly you turn that gank around. And obviously the kick is dive in mid. Never had to happen either. So G2 are making mistake on mistake on mistake, and instead of trying to save the situation, they make it worse.
Well, they're going for another play right here. The 2-1-2 trick is there. Gets a slow on Afro. Is forced to burn the exhaust, but now the root's going to land and keep Hybrid out of range. Afro's still low on health, but will get away. The jump in for Emperor doesn't mean nearly enough. Emperor will survive on Soraka. Did have to burn the exhaust. Stixay's heal is up, but the gank turns into nothing. I mean, just look at the item disparity. Ezreal has starting items versus BF Sword double longsword.
Yeah, and currently he's sitting on 1200 gold. He's going to get a tier for himself. Around the mid lane, we have Xmithy, and Hui's going in, and he misses!
Oh, he misses the ulti! Perks roots him in the turret. That's going to be the kill easily in the solo. And now Kikis is in, but Xmithy can just jump the wall. I'm not sure Kikis completed the teleport. That was
this is a weird game.
It's a very weird game.
This is a very weird start to this game. Hui trying to make the big play. Even then, even pushing Perks towards Xmithy, I'm not sure how much damage they expected to have. Like, it's a full HP rise. He's trying to dive.
I don't know. I really don't. He's got a stinger. It's not like it's that much damage coming out of Huhi there.
No.
A lot of questionable decisions this game.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about how, you know, this G2 bot lane, they want to set up ganks against the Soraka. That's how you play against Soraka. You gank her. Very, very squishy target, obviously. You had their CC from Hybrid. Once we had the 2v2 lane that G2 actually tried to opt out of. They're still gonna lose this mid tower, bot tower, top tower. You know, let's make it top tower instead.
Yeah, that's the one.
I mean, they're gonna lose the other towers at some point.
Most likely. You never know, though.
Just spoiling it for everyone.
Comebacks do happen, okay? We haven't scripted this game this badly. There's always a chance.
When you're this far down, you better lose your outer turrets at some point.
Yeah. You would hope for CLG's sake that they don't somehow make this go really badly for them. So certainly in control here. 6 kills to 2. The first turret of the game goes down as well in the, I want to say heads up 2-on-2. That's not exactly accurate considering everything that happened so far this game.
Right.
The advantage was either way earned by the individual skill of the CLG members here. In a 3,000 gold game, is there advantage for the result of all these plays? Perkz failed to rune prison a cannon minion and recalls sadly.
This is one of those fun games if you're a jungler. You're just kind of running around farming a little bit, and then your laner's call for another gank, and you move up, and while you're there ganking and thinking you're the man who's making a difference, TP start happening, and people die left and right, and
you're like, I was doing Krugs.
Yeah, I'm like, oh.
What's going on?
Xmithie has like 1 assist at this point with 6 kills to CLG.
Yeah, once he re-ganked the BF Sword Lucian lane, like, wow, good job, Smithy. You're really a big part of the team there. But, I mean, you know, Smithy's had his good moments as well. He stole the fifth dragon that got them the win over Flash Wolves.
I mean, he's done his job here. He's just farm. And then he joined in for that re-engage on top, and he's finding Trick. No tower. I love to see teams that wants to take the early tower, push in the lane, then take the Rift Health, and then swap to the bottom side and push in for that tier 1 bot tower. I think that's what CLG is looking for. Yeah,
we'll see. They have already pushed the first wave in, but they're staying up on this side of the map. They pulled Xmithie up as well to make sure that they stayed safe as he battles Trick for control. Perkz, they're really going in on a Huhi, and, you know, for how many kills they've been had, look at that. Really good damage out of Perkz. Wins that trade by a lot.
And this might actually stop CLG from taking that Rift Health we saw right now. Most of the team coming towards the mid lane, and we see right now they're coming in. Huhi again!
A trade of flashes. Huhi goes in, forces Tricks out, burns his own. Equal trade, 1 ult, 1 flash down for each player now. And, well, CLG have rotated to the mid lane. Instead, Perkz is out of mana, but does have teleport.
Yeah, they're all in for Perkz. Stop the Rift Health from happening because he now might die.
Flashes in for Perkz, forcing him to flash away. Smithy stays alive, but gets him completely off the turret. That will mean outer goes down. Officially, you said they better get these turrets. Looks like they will do so. Mid-outer's gone.
Again, it's when you have such a strong 2v2 lane, you just push in that one lane and you just move away. You take Rift Health, you take a mid tower, doesn't matter. Because Perkz all in mid, they opted away from the objective and just went straight for tower. Definitely a good call by CLG.
A nice attempt for a re-engage by GG right there, but Tempered Fate did not land and there was no comeback to be had. Smithy steals a blue buff on his way out. G2 are running out of things to have on the map right now. Bot lane turret pushed down. 3 quarters health left on that one, but Darshan feeling pretty good in this matchup. He's up a level, and well, when you walk into your sort of level 2 1v1 of the Spectre's Cowl, it's not too hard to win. Darshan missing the stun though. Kikis going to re-engage here. A little bit of damage dealt. Darshan almost out of mana as well, but his team is here. Kikis has to turn around and ults to get a little bit more distance. Didn't want to be slowed by Xmithie. I think that was actually the right choice. He wouldn't have had a good ult otherwise because it would start trailing behind him. And if he healed, he would have been inside the enemy team.
You also can't really afford to keep getting poked down and recall over and over. Like,
true.
At this point, when you're already falling behind in the lanes, you want to really up the time you have in lanes to pick up farm and experience. No stun coming in from Kikis. G2's bottom lane has swapped to the side. And that's about the only thing G2 have managed to do the last 2 minutes that didn't result in them dying.
Yeah, I think G2 is trying to have their 2-on-2 match up, though, because they know Kikis would just drop so rapidly. In a 2-on-1, they'd lose the turret too fast. So Emperor and Hybrid forced to try to survive a matchup where they're down 30 CS and a couple of kills. And they're just shoving as hard as they can, right? The ult comes through, Emperor's going to push the wave down, Q it, run away, and then we'll see what the next matchup ends up being. But
well, it's a bit of a shame for G2. They had to use teleport from Perkz back into the mid lane. I'm not 100% sure if he had to use it. Instead, he just opted into it because he didn't want to basically see his mid tower.
Yeah.
Chunk down to about 50%, but those teleports is almost the only way back for G2. If they can get standard lanes, set up a deep ward and then double TP down, you might be able to pick up a few kills and then take a tower, and that is really your way back. If there's a 5-on-5 team fight now, CLG is so much stronger, and if they just get to control the game, you can't use your globals at all, well then again you are going to fall behind in almost every single lane.
Definitely agree, and you're actually going to see the farm numbers in these lanes. Props to Kikis for actually being equal to Darshan in that heads-up 1-on-1. That's actually, in my mind, very impressive, and even Trick has at least got a similar score to Xmithie here, but mid lane and bot lane definitely points of pressure for CLG if they can keep going. Stixxay looking to knock down another turret here as he was part of the top lane and the Mid lane turret kill. Now onto that bot lane. Let's see if he can get another 900 gold for the team.
Yeah, and when you lose that early mid tower, it just makes it so hard to do anything on the map because you know your Ryze is going to get pushed into his tower, and then it's so much faster for CLG to roam from mid lane to the side lanes. And that's what we talked about before. It's all about getting that teleport ready for perks. When it's ready, that one play needs to work for G2. They have to TP in, pick up a few kills and a tower, otherwise the game is over.
Well, there's maybe the chance. Of course, the cooldown is there, so of course perks can't TP right
once
now.
It's ready.
But you see wards like these that CLG are standing on top of and then pushing past. That's the kind of positioning that double teleport can always come in and find that flank kill. One shot the Soraka, turn everything around, and G2 playing around that 2-minute cooldown remaining to make that play.
Let's see up top, Darshan again trading against Kikis. Two champions who received nerfs recently. Both Poppy and Echo, and also their favorite item, the Iceborne Gauntlet.
Yes.
Taken down a little bit. Hui has roamed to the bot lane. We talked about this. You can see how Perks is running. Has to take a longer route down towards the bottom lane because he gets pushed in. And that means you can't sit and defend. Because if you do, you get tower dive.
And it's smart play by CLG as well. Of course, G2, yes, correct to run away. They know they couldn't defend it, but CLG pushed in the mid lane so that Hui can roam first, push in the bot lane because they're ahead. Just collapse, you know they can't defend, the turret goes down. And it's the pretty smart, consistent play, low risk, high reward, knock the turret down. Good stuff so far by CLG. Hey, good job playing with the 4,000 gold lead. And now Perks in a really bad spot, knocked right back in. Finally, he gets the combo to land, and he and Darshan knocked down the mid laner. The rookie is dead. Smithy gets some damage on Emperor, who runs back to defend the mid lane tier 2.
That hurt.
Half his health.
Not so magical, the journey.
Yep.
And now CLG, I mean, at this point, it's very hard to mess up your shot calling. When you are this far ahead, it's like, do you want to siege? Okay. Do you want to, like, take a dragon? Fine. Do you want to just dive them? Okay, sure, we can do that too. Like, you can basically do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And this is because you played much better than the other team in the early game.
Absolutely agree. I like games like these as a caster sometimes because it just helps you illustrate. Like, 5% of all games start this way, when you're just, like, playing ranked by yourself. Like, oh, we're 6-0. And we've all had games where we lose that. We're like, what did we do wrong? How did we lose a game like this? It's like, well, here, watch CLG vs G2 on day 2 of MSI, and just, look, dual lane pushes in, roams to mid, recalls, goes bot lane, mid pushes in, roams for the turret, and just these consistent play around objectives.
Just a little roam down, because again, Darshan have been pushing top lane, gets to roam down through the jungle. Perks has no flash at this point, ends up going down, and you can see on the mini-map here for G2, it's so hard to cover every entrance, because again, you have no turrets to give you extra vision. You only rely on your minions and basically the few wards you can place in your own jungle, and that's not enough to spot everything that's happening. Another ward being placed by Hybrid, waiting now for CLG to come down, walk into the trap, push past that one ward, and then double TP on it. We're waiting for it.
Yeah. That's the only play. That is the way that G2 gets back in, is getting a double TP flank, one-shotting somebody and fighting a 5v4.
But as you said before, again, it's always fun to see importance of pushing waves.
Yeah.
It is not very exciting. It's not, like, again, a sexy topic or anything. It's just you're going to push your lane, and whenever you do that, you always, of course, force the other team to react instead of being offensive. You know, they have to step back, wait for the wave at their tower. Once you see them, they are basically standing there, hitting the wave. You get information on where they are, when can they move, where they're even going.
Yeah.
And you can just move already. You're going to be 5, 6, 7 seconds faster, and suddenly people have to face check you, and that makes it impossible.
And it also removes the chance of cross-mapping, because you know they have to get through several waves, walking down the lane, fighting them every time, hundreds of HP on each of those minions. You're like, okay, we have no chance of losing in the top lane. We can spend 45 seconds setting up a play and come back before anything is dropped. But now Darshan has to flash out of Tempered Fate. Nice order there by Hybrid, leading him properly. Perks was roaming around. That did not require teleports. These bullets are still available, and you're seeing the glimmers of hope, these little plays that are being made by G2. But the bot side of the map completely controlled by CLG, and this has a very low chance of failure.
Only one ward now behind CLG that can really use on the side of G2. Obviously, Darshan can join, and the reason you also see Hui just follow the team now is because CLG obviously knows. All right. Double TP in, so they get maybe a 5v4 if our Azir is still sitting mid, so that's not going to happen. Just keep moving as a 4-man unit and just sieging these towers here. Poke them down. If they ever engage onto you, you TP in with your Poppy, and it's a 5-on-5 where you are so far ahead in gold.
And you're going to see Perks actually stuck in this lane right now as ult comes through from Emperor, clearing the wave, but that turret's still low. Hui now taking a lot of damage, flashes away, heal back up, a trick goes down, Smithy gets the last blow, Emperor shot dangerously, and the final crit gets him. Now Darshan to the backside, that's already 3 kills picked up, make that 4 as Hybrid goes down. Kikis did teleport in, but he's there a bit late, knocked back across towards his own safety. Huhi actually sending him back to his base, but still chunked low. One more hit will get him. Darshan says, hi, remember me? I'm Poppy. I've got a lollipop and I've got a candy bar for you. Throws him into the wall, takes him down, 310 gold, an ace for CLG.
They're getting everything. We just talked about it. They just want to sit there, siege on the tower and say, G2, you have to engage on us. And if you can't manage to execute it properly, we will take more kills. They are so far ahead. And like this engage is technically good by Perks. He's getting a lot of damage down, but this is where Soraka obviously is useful as well with some extra healing coming in. And when you are this far behind, you're never going to win a 5v5.
Yep. 4 heals and Wish in that span of time, and then yeah, Hybrids alone, not much of a chance to get anything there. Smithy, nice job actually with the ulti, once they were already turret diving. Then yeah, a nice knockback on a Kikis who might have picked up a kill there, and we see the rest of this dive happen.
Ah, we didn't get to see the end.
It's okay, we knew it happened.
Let's see, this is not a game though where you get a lot of dragons. And that goes against what we have seen so far in this tournament. Because we've had long games, you know, a lot of back and forth. A lot of teams actually fighting around dragons.
Right.
In this case, I'm sure CLG is happy just getting a few stacks. Want to get a bit of extra damage on towers. And I would not go Baron at this point.
I wouldn't either.
Because if I'm this
you
far
don't
ahead,
need it.
Yeah, you don't want to risk a potential Baron steal. But not again, it's not gonna matter.
But yeah, a game where CLG loses, you play this game 100 times and one time CLG loses it, it probably involves them giving away a Baron steal.
Maybe 2 or 3 Barons.
Yeah, I mean like,
yeah.
By definition still involves one. Not strictly one, but...
But man, CLG right now, the confidence for this team going forward in this tournament, again, so many people put them as the weaker of the 4 teams fighting in the middle. So we look at LMS, we look at LPL, EU, and NA. A lot of people put CLG down as number 5.
Yourself included.
Myself
I read that article.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, definitely coming into the tournament. I mean, when you do the power rankings there, you have to look at the games they just played.
I did the same thing on PTL.
So it's a surprise in many ways, but it's also great to see CLG coming in and playing high-tempo games, a lot of fighting, reacting well with teleports as well.
Certainly.
So they fully deserve now being this far ahead, full control against G2. And for this G2 lineup, I mean, if you had a little bit of hope coming into the tournament today after a rough start,
yeah,
when you then go down 6 kills to 1 at like 4 minutes,
yeah,
that hope is gone pretty quickly.
You know what does give hope to, though? Turkish fans.
That's going to be an exciting one.
Yeah, I mean, if this is the shape that G2 is in, you actually give a little bit of hope over to Supermassive to say, hey, you know what? Maybe International Wildcard deserves a pool 2 seed at Worlds, and this is now an opponent within reach, I feel like, for the Turkish squad. So certainly a lot of games still to play this tournament. And keep in mind, G2 has a rematch against all these teams later on.
Yeah.
If they can shape up throughout the week, if they can, they still are in control, getting into the playoffs and doing a whole lot better, but it's going to require some significant improvements. Stixxay, it doesn't matter what Perks does to him, he heals back up thanks to Soraka and just crushes the Rise's health bar.
Yeah, whenever Perks is trying to do something, all he does is single target damage, which is perfect.
Yep.
For CLG's composition, because you got a fantastic single target heal from Aphromoo.
Yep.
And we're just waiting for CLG again. They're just trying to play it safe. They don't want to go for any risky dives here. They actually waited for G2 as well to engage beforehand, and then they took the fight and just taking every single outer turret.
Yeah.
Might see them actually set up, just vision in the jungle and set up that Baron and only take it if they get a few kills first.
Yeah, I think this is actually the stage where CLG plays for a more Baron type situation. You're seeing actually Stixxay get a third out of Hexmaker just so he doesn't get one shot by Rise, and also rapid fire cannon second for better turret killing. So CLG are indexing toward this risk-averse turret pushing style, but yes, look, they've got ward control, they can start the Baron. Stixxay though, whiffs the jump over the wall. This actually gives time for G2 to join in. They're going to teleport in, and it means that CLG will walk away.
Yeah,
no risk.
CLG needs to just slow down a little bit, go back, get your pink wards, set up the wards in the enemy jungle above the Baron pit, and just wait for G2 to walk in and face check it, and then you just engage onto them. What they did here was basically just forcing a teleport, which is also perfectly fine. They start the Baron. As soon as the TP happens, they disengage. They had no intentions of ever taking a 50-50 smite. Just force teleport, back away. You now know, okay, it's only Kikis who can sit on bottom side. Darshan can just sit with him, removes again double TP, and just set up your wards, honestly. Create one pick, take the Baron, go in and finish the game.
Definitely agree. So Smithy doing some of the bookkeeping leading into this one. We'll grab the Scuttle Crab, make sure G2 can't get it, although Trick could could walk in and steal, and he does. Trick gets the scuttle. Unfortunately, Smithy was not willing to smite it. Maybe should have, and it now gives you what roughly a minute, I believe, of G2 just having vision control over Baron. Well, CLG can't bait that now.
Yeah, delaying it a little bit more on the side of G2.
Yep. But time is what they need. The longer this game goes on, the slightly closer this game gets. And
technically, yeah. Obviously, if you are on the side of G2, you're going to need a good 25 minutes of basically nothing happening.
Yes.
On the side of CLG.
They're going to hope they end it in the next 5.
Just waiting for this Rift Scuttler to run out. Again, they should honestly just move into the jungle of G2 here because they're not afraid to fight at all. So now we can see Aframu coming in. Smithy, who he following. 6-8. He doesn't like this Baron.
Yeah. He's doing mean things to him. The thing is, Darshan and Kikis have still been fighting off on the side of the map. And yes, Darshan's winning the matchup because he's got so many kills, but Kikis actually winning in CS and equal in levels. So doing his best job to stay up in a game that's really out of hand, and he's not really allowing Darshan to create a lot of pressure by himself. Now comes the next Baron attempt, doing it over the wall, but they're going to be revealed by doing so. Spots Trick on the way out. Kulin comes across. Ryzen's far behind. Perks gets a bit of damage through, but once again, Stixay is low. Afro has to heal him back up. Wards over the wall. They will dive in for this one. Trick dangerously low, but oh no, here comes the damage once again for Perks, but the TP in for Darshan. Trick does go down. Darshan whiffs the ultimate, and Perks roots to get away, but that is now G2's jungler dead, and it can mean a reattempt for Baron.
This is what we talked about with CLG, just setting up some vision in here. Look for these picks when G2 are moving in to try and stop the Baron every single time. And again, this Soraka pick, had it been a more even game, we probably would see it even more in effect against this Ryze, because again, a single target damage from Ryze mainly, you heal that. And also the silence stops Ryze from having that machine gun effect. And CLG are not really trained in jumping over the wall, and Kikis is going in.
And all that well. Kikis in the fight, so 4v5. Huhi a bit low on health, getting healed back up, but there's still damage coming across. Kikis has to ult back out of the pit, and it means CLG turns to Baron. They're risking it. They go in. Blue team's picked it up, but now they're re-engaged. Stixay's low. Stixay goes down. Traded back though is Huhi getting a kill onto Perks. Hybrid has to run away through the magical journey. Overall 2-for-1 plus Baron is advantage CLG. Maybe they can get a bit more. Emperor is slow, chased down by Smithy. A great tempered fate by Hybrid to buy the time though. And CLG will walk away. Not the cleanest of fights, but it is still an advantage for them.
Ends up being a 1-for-1, and CLG, of course, picking up the Baron. Let's get some more dragons as well. 3-for-0 for them. You might as well take it. Have that late game insurance in case the game goes longer and longer. But G2, they're trying, at least. They're really trying to prevent this Baron. They also know that was a wave back into the game. We talked about the double teleport earlier. That never happened because CLG never got in a position, really, where G2 could do anything. Now we see the engage jumping in. Obviously, the jungler is dead here, meaning that CLG are fine taking that smite advantage, and therefore Smithy can secure the Baron. Had Trick been alive, they would never have done this.
No, of course not. But no smite, the chance of sealing is so incredibly low. And even though they did take some damage, the fact that they wanted to dive in the pit said, look, we'll take a rough fight if it means we get to take the Baron.
Yep, exactly. And so, of course, fairly early on in the game, you do take a lot of damage from the Baron, and you're stuck near that Baron pit.
But now CLG has the tools to close the game out. Baron buff still on for about 2 minutes here, and you'd think they can get a lot done. 11,000 and a half, the gold lead here. All of them in the mid lane. Perks' bot lane without teleport up, and it's on the rest of G2 to wave clear as he slowly pushes down. G2 will be getting the bot out of turret most likely. Ryze not the fastest of turret pushes, but he will get some damage through. CLG actually making a slight misplay. Baron buff gives minions movement speed. If Afro runs back and buffs the minions, they'll join this wave sooner, and actually they can push sooner. Not going to mean anything really here. CLG not pushing in, and they will knock down the inhibitor turret and zone the rest of G2 away. Yeah,
G2 basically saying we're not going to defend this tower, so we just try and trade it for one tower anyway and get a bit of gold for ourselves. CLG doesn't look like they're done, though. Still pushing in. And now Perks should have been recalling already. He's recalling now.
Should have recalled sooner. Yeah, this turret dangerously low. They dodge away with the tempered fate. Good job by CLG. Stun, not quite going to land by Kikis. The shield blocks who he's damaged. Ryze now in the mix of 5v5 inside of G2's base. Darshan just smacks the turret, applies the dragon buff. And that Cannon is still doing plenty. Banner of Command helping a little bit, but now one more hit will kill it off, and that's the turret going down. The re-engage in, Kikis in the front line, lands it down, then gets right back out.
Who is that?
Down to Perks, a great pickup for the G2 mid laner. And that will buy some more time. G2 gets to walk away. They weather the storm of Baron buff. Yes, the inhibitor is dead, but they will live on for another day.
Yeah, CLG again with this massive goal lead, getting very confident, saying we don't need to take the rest of the base down, we can just go straight for Nexus turrets. I mean, you could just have backed away, taken that big wave on top side, buffed it up again, taken another tower, another inhib, and played out safe, but they wanted that inhib. In the end, they only lose one. So again, it's never really anything that's going to cost CLG the game, unless they keep doing it for another 10-15 minutes, but we're obviously not expecting that. They're still really far ahead in gold, have open inhib in the mid lane now, and should just look to group up one more time.
Right, a single turret stands, and they're pretty fragile at this stage of the game, only 28 minutes in. That's definitely an available push here for CLG as the last seconds of Baron Buffalo timeout. We'll see what their next target ends up being here. They're actually sending the team towards the bot lane. We're seeing Lucian and Kindred run down there alongside the Soraka. Huhi up in the top side with Darshan. Looks like they're not playing the 5-man.
Huhi is just going to take the blue buff, and then he's going to walk down.
Okay, well then it's up to CLG to not push too hard with Stixxay and co, where they can't have a mid laner join them. G2 might not find that opening. Perkz does have teleport, but until CLG walks up farther, no wards to teleport to. There's 2 in that tribe rush right above the bot lane. And actually now we're seeing them walk a little bit forward. This is the chance. Stixxay's too far up. They could go the flank, and there's the teleport coming in. They're going to try to flank on the CLG AD carry. Here comes Perkz, right for the team, but it gets exhausted, gets silenced, and takes so much damage. Kick is the backline fighting. Stixxay ults right back in. Perkz goes down to Xmithie, and Darshan's already in the backline. Kick is going to go down as well to Stixxay. The Maw pops another stun in for Darshan. He's going to find Hybrid. That's 4 kills picked up for nothing.
CLG pushed up, had Huhi coming around the corner, and while G2 actually had a ward that could TP too, instant just Soraka silence straight onto Perkz. Took too much damage to end up going down, and G2 now have nothing left.
Okay, well that was the attempted play by G2. It did not work out, but you couldn't expect much else after that incredibly rough early game where CLG started out 6-1 in kills. The first blood was good. The top lane gank worked even better. Encounter Logic Gaming representing North America, saying it's more than just NA versus EU. It's NA versus the world, and they start that out 2-1.
Fantastic early game by CLG. They saw a lot of aggressive plays by G2 when they honestly didn't have the tools to really pull them off, and they just punish it. Again, Kick is without teleport, Hybrid trying to make that little cheesy play around the mid lane. Obviously a little bit unlucky for him, but the fact that Kick didn't have teleport was something G2 knew, and yet they still opted into aggressive fights and lost more and more and more.
That's the G2 style, though. This is a team that plays medium risk, medium reward. Cool, we're down for it. Could it backfire heavily? That's okay. We think it might work out well for us. And at this tournament, those choices are getting punished repeatedly. Whether it's flashing over walls, ganking without teleport, hoping Xmithie's not there, hoping they can dive a turret. Well, they're backfiring.
And it's a team who's playing like it's basically just a normal ranked game at home.
Sure.
Because it seems like the communication between these members are just, it's gone. Like, the fact that this gank could even happen in the first place without anyone saying, no, wait. They have teleport, we don't. We can't make this play, you know? No one seemed to say anything. And once they lose a few kills, everything just snowballs for CLG. And again, they can be so happy and fantastic for this team because you come in and you want to get that great start. Because first of all, it gives you some confirmation that as a team, we are good enough to compete with these other regions. And we can actually make, you know, top 4, even top 2 is what they're saying now.
Right.
Stixxay and Afromove both talking about top 2.
I mean, Logic Gaming came into this season as an under-respected team. Oh, they lost Doublift. Oh, they dropped Pobelter for Huhi and Stixxay. Like, we barely even know who these guys are. And then by the end of it, well, Logic Gaming was the only team to beat Immortals. Then they won the split. They come to MSI. It's like, well, yeah, but you're North America. That's funny. It's like, well, no, we're going to actually have a super tight game against China's #1 team. They beat Flash Wolves. They beat G2. This is definitely a top caliber team. And as you said, they can fight for top 2.